Hello again, wonderful Year 4 artists. Today we're going to continue our work with 1-point perspective. Instead of putting regular shapes in 1-point perspective, today I'm going to show you how to start making a city street in 1-point perspective. So the first thing you need is a piece of white paper. There we go, a piece of white paper. Cut it into a nice square shape for us, and you'll notice it's a little bit thicker than normal paper because we're going to be painting these with watercolor when we're finished. So, white paper, ruler, lineal, and a pencil, beige penna. We always start in pencil. Now remember, you want to keep your pencil nice and light so that if you need to erase, it will be a little bit easier. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to draw the horizon line. Now anything above the horizon line, that will be your sky, and anything below will be part of your city street. Some of the buildings might come a little bit above, but you'll have still some background to make a sky. So this time, it doesn't have to be in the middle of the page. Whoa. Okay, it can be sort of higher up. So you have a smaller sky and a longer street, or it can be a little bit more below so that you have a really big sky and a smaller street. It's really up to you. I'm going to have it not quite in the middle, but a little bit higher up. So I will do that now. Remember to keep the ruler nice and straight. And press very light with the pencil. Now your vanishing point, last time we started with it right in the middle of the horizon line. Again, this time you can move it. So you can have it more to one side, more to the other side, or you can keep it in the middle. It's up to you. I'm going to put mine a little bit to the right. Okay, so there's my horizon line. It's a little bit higher than halfway up, and my vanishing point is off to the side. You can have it in the middle, you can have it to the other side, you can have it wherever you'd like. Okay, then your city street will look a little different depending where you put it. So these lines are going to come straight from the vanishing point all the way to the bottom of the page. Now, you don't want them to be completely straight, you want them to be a little bit slanted. This one. Here's another one. Okay, so my city is going to be a little bit either bigger or closer on one side and a little bit less on the other side. But yours might look a little different. Just make sure that your lines make a sort of street that gets smaller as you get closer to the vanishing point and bigger as you come out. The next step is to start drawing in buildings and trees and benches and everything else you're going to have in your picture. You have a guide on your desk about how to draw buildings in perspective, so please use that to help you. I'll show you one example of going from the guide of how to draw a city. So the first thing I'm going to do is draw a rectangle. So I'm going to keep my ruler nice and straight again, and draw a rectangle. Okay, so here's the rectangle I drew. I decided to have my rectangle connect to the side of the paper, okay? So that means that we're looking directly at the side of the building. We're not going to see anything behind it. We're looking right at it. It's very close. I also have it coming above the horizon line because it's a tall building. So I would like it to be a little bit taller. You can have it shorter, taller. It's up to you. The next thing I'm going to do is exactly what we did when we put shapes into one-point perspective. I'm going to draw a guiding line from the vanishing point to each corner that I can get to without going through the shape. So the top corner here, I'm going to draw one there. And the other corners are not reachable. I can't get to them. The other corner is the bottom corner, but that one is touching the street line that I made. So I don't actually have to draw that line in because the end of the building is the end of the street. So I'll show you what I mean. So I drew one guiding line to this top corner. I can't reach this one or this one. Oops. Can't reach this one or the one up here. And this one is on the line of the street. So I already have that line there for me. And this one we're going to keep because it is our street. So now I'm going to close off my building by using the line on the side, just like we did with the square, to help me to know how to draw it. So I'll start with my ruler on the line, and then I will pull it over, nice and straight though, depending how long I want my building to be. So start with my ruler on the line. It's going to be a parallel line running in the same direction. And I'll pull it over a little. I'm not going to make it too big because I want to leave room for some other buildings. I want to see the front of some other buildings. Okay. So now we have closed off our shape and we can see the side and a little bit of what's going to be the front. Now I can erase some of my guiding lines. I'm going to erase the horizon line inside and here inside, and the rest of them, they are all part of my building. Okay, so I have my eraser slid. Okay, and I'm going to erase the one guiding line. Okay, so now I have one building and I have the street and my line is nice and straight. So now I have room to continue. On this sheet, it shows you how to draw another building coming off from the building that you have already using a rectangle and the same method. So I'll show you that. Remember, you have two sides. So you can have buildings on both sides if you want. You can have buildings and trees or benches or other things that you want to try to draw. But just remember that the further back it gets, the smaller things will be, the closer to us closer to the front it is, the bigger things are going to be. So I'm going to make this building a little bit smaller. I'm going to do a really small rectangle. This is going to be the side of the building. And the same with the guiding lines. Lining my ruler up on the side. And then I'm going to erase the lines I don't need. Okay, so now I have two buildings. So first I drew this little rectangle here. And then I drew a guiding line up to the corner. And I used my ruler on this line to make this a parallel line. Then I erased the extra line. The bottom of my building is touching the road, so I didn't have to do anything there. And now we see a little bit of the side of this building and some of the front. There's one more thing I want to talk about. When you're drawing windows, doors, and other things on the fronts of the building, you're going to use the lines to help you. So, for example, this door, I know that the side of the door needs to be the same direction as the side of the building. So I've done that on both sides. The top is where it gets a little bit tricky. So to know which angle to put this, I'll show you with my finger, this line at top, you're going to use the same as the bottom, the street. So if I put my ruler on the street line, can you see that? Yeah, and I pull it directly up without turning it, those two lines are going to be the same direction. This line and the line on the street. That will help you when you're making windows and doors and other things on the front. Anything here on the side will just be normal. It'll look 2D and be flat. So you don't have to worry about it here. If you're going to do trees as well, I suggest using the vanishing point to help you with the height of the tree, how tall it's going to be. I'll show you a little bit what I mean on the other side. Okay, so I've drawn some very simple trees on the other side just to show you what I was talking about. So the first thing I did is I started by drawing a diagonal line from the vanishing point out, just to give me an idea of how much bigger and smaller my tree should be. It's not going to be perfect, but it will help to think about the size. So my first tree, it's big, it goes a little bit above the line, and it comes back down. My next tree, to make it a little easier, I made it a little bit shorter than the last one because I know it has to get smaller, and so on as you go on. As I get further away, the trees are a little bit closer together and they're becoming a little bit smaller. So if I have trees all the way along, they should be smaller and closer together the further away you get. The same thing with buildings, but you can have a taller building here, and so long as it still comes down to the right angle. So there's a start. You're free to do this project how you like. You can have all buildings, you can have, trees in between buildings, you can have benches, and you can use the space over here. You can add different shaped roofs to the buildings, right? And I will do my best to come around and help you to do this. But remember, press very lightly. Always have an eraser beside you. And have fun and try your best.